I'm Catherine Ross, and I'm here live from the floor of the NYSU with Jim Cramer. Jim, let's kick it off by going unfiltered. What's on the top of your mind?
Well, I think that we all are just possessed by WeWork. I mean, Newman is a charismatic figure that we all, until very recently, thought was going to change the world. And now we just keep reading things that are suboptimal about him. And we're starting now with, I think everyone was just possessed by the idea that SoftBank may want him out. I don't know, other than football this weekend, bull market fantasy, I didn't hear anyone talk about anything other than how did this happen? And is the company collapsing? And why can't they get a deal done? And should they kick him out? But he really is the company. So I don't know, this has to be followed. You know, when I met him, and he's quite charismatic, and he can be a force of good, but it just seems like that it's off the rails, and that's what people are talking about.
So walking up to that, last week we got the headlines that WeWork was trying to go public by the end of the year. Now we've got the headlines that the CEO might be out. When do you think that they're going to go public now?
Well, I think that I want to hear, is there an SEC? When I brought TheStreet public, they flagged it they were trying to figure out corporate governance because I was feuding with another member of the board, and we managed to come together, and we weren't really feuding. But the fact is that they care tremendously about that, and that was a different SEC. So I want to hear, does the SEC aren't they upset about this or something? I mean, if they went after me for feuding with the guy, well, how about Masterson feuding with the guy? It's certainly a much bigger story, a multi-billion-dollar company. So I need to hear the SEC take a role in this. They really should.
Now, the We company might be on the top of your mind, and it's also the subject of your Real Money column. So I do want to take this from an educational angle. Jim, how do you spot a suboptimal IPO?
A suboptimal IPO is an IPO that is desperate for the cash. You should never have an IPO where you are going to fail without the cash. And I find that there are a lot of companies, you want a company that's going to do well without the cash. I keep going toward Pinterest. Pinterest is my idea of a great IPO. Just low expectations, really well-run company, kind of the softer side of the internet, just kind of chugs along. That's a really good deal. So use Pinterest as your benchmark. And then the bad deals tend to have many, many bankers on it, a lot of fanfare, too much written about them, have personalities that we can't control. But Pinterest is the exact opposite. It's just a kinder, gentler IPO, and it's really worked out well, and that's your blueprint.
Let's switch gears because I want to ask you about our Real Money stock of the day, Netflix, which appeared at the Emmys last night. They fell in the middle category. So HBO won, took home the most amount of awards. Netflix was next, and then Amazon, of course.
Well, Netflix is the kind of company that it trades on Emmys. You had to have lots of fanfare so that people say, "What am I missing?" It's FOMO. That's a FOMO stock, and there is less FOMO when there's fewer Emmys. So I regard it as a loser for Netflix. They need to have more programming where we just say, "Oh, I guess I got to go. I have no choice. I got to subscribe." And I didn't feel that way. I did feel that way about HBO, by the way, because it wasn't whether it was Chernobyl or Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is over. Chernobyl was a short run, but you need a sweep by Netflix so that people say, they go to the water cooler and they say, "Hey, have you ever heard of so and so?" And everyone says, "Yeah, well, how could you not have watched it?" And that's what Netflix needs to have, and they didn't get it last night. So the stock, one more chance for it to not rally, to sell off.
Should investors be worried about that since we're months away from getting Disney Plus and others?
They should be worried about it because when you have a stock that's not grounded on earnings per share, whatever it is grounded on, it better be great. And this one's grounded on, really grounded on how many people are excited about something. And the Emmys made me feel like there's not a lot of people excited about anything at Netflix.
Jim, I don't know about you, but I was having a hard time last night. I was trying to watch football. I was trying to watch the Emmys. It was a whole lot of things. So based on that, you've got a Bull Market Fantasy live show tomorrow.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to talking about with Bill and Ray?
I want to talk about I had a lot of talk going back and forth with Bill, my partner. I want to kind of go over who's available. See, I think that a lot of people in their leagues, the same people are available as my league. And so we're going to go over that. I also want to set my lineup with him. Again, these are all as exercises for you to get better. I am sure that Bill has some insight. I mean, he had some people that he has been just money. I mean, it really is incredible. I will have to go over my shameless loss to Jeff Marks. A lot of that was like Nelson Aguilar. I had him just right in front of me at the Eagles game. A double loss, and that Aguilar beat me and Detroit beat me. And want to talk about the notion of taking it personally versus not taking it personally, how you deal with that. I'm trying to get a psychiatrist to play. Don't know if I can get a psychiatrist. I want him in or her in. But there is there's also one of the things that Bill wants to talk about is furthering of the stock versus the players. And you might talk about how important it is. Maybe we start that earlier. We start it tomorrow.
The stocks versus stats segment,
Yes.
where we compare football players to stocks.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should.
Right, because we have to have the whole week. We have the stock might catch up. If you benchmark the stock on a Tuesday, it's much better. And then we're going to talk about the Thursday curse. This is even worse for me, the Thursday curse, because this time we're playing Green Bay. That could be problematic, but maybe that's the big upset. Although Green Bay's apparently never lost on a Thursday night. Got to talk about injuries. Are you finally
going to have to watch a Thursday night game?
Oh, my God. We're talking about injuries and what they mean. What do you do? Is T.Y. Hilton down? Okay. Is Alshon coming back? I think that there's a lot of injuries right now that are crucial. And then out-of-the-way teams that you may not be thinking about that have good quarterbacks for if you're looking for something new. Maybe talk about the importance of winning on defense. And then just the kind of hot, not hot. Like we're now just finished week 3, and I think we've already found out who are the elite teams. And Bill's adamant that if you have a player on an elite team, or you can get one, that's what you should do. My opponent had Rex Burkhead, who I went to pick up, and he just grabbed him. That's an example of someone who's like that. And then do you pick up Giants? You pick up some Giants because this quarterback may be the real deal. So, I happen to like Pat Shurmur very much. I'm not a Giant fan because I'm in the division, but Pat is someone who's involved in a lot of civic stuff in Summit, and I am too. And we keep seeing each other. And my wife has worn me down that why aren't I more friends with Shurmur, and therefore like the Giants. It's not going to happen, but he's a really good man. People have to know that Pat Shurmur's really is. He used to play, he used to be with the Eagles, but we're very big supporters of the Elks, and he called me to do more for the Elks, and I said, you're absolutely right. So Pat's a really great guy. Coach, he's a great guy.
And, of course, you can find all of that and more on bullmarketfantasy.com.
All right. It's all people were talking about this weekend. I bump people in the elevator and talk to people in the box, and Bull Market Fantasy's kind of captured people because it's not like any other fantasy show. I mean, it's very off the cuff. We talk a lot about different things, and it's wild. I mean, a lot of fantasy shows are very straight. You can learn more in our fantasy show because it's very visceral is the word I guess I should use. It's visceral. So, tune us in. And people should know you can get it on the street. It's still kind of lost. Got to find more of a home for it.
TheStreet.com/fantasy. And it's always fun because it's an Eagles fan, it's a Giants fan, and it's a Cowboys fan. You can't get better than that.
It's really the NFC beast.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, if you're watching, we're now heading over to our Action Alerts Plus daily rundown show over on actionalertsplus.com. I'm Catherine Ross, and we'll see you tomorrow.